Watercare has just recently received another consent to take more water from the Waikato River, and that will serve us well until 2040, thereabout, on our projections. And we were saying, what then? What with the growth of population in Auckland and potentially more extreme weather events, either a drought or a flood, where would our next source of water be coming from? And rather than us as an engineering company sitting around board tables and thinking about it, we wanted to work through that question with the people of Tamaki Makaurau. So hence the birth of the Citizens' Assembly, where we put that question to them as Aucklanders and ask them, with all of the options available, considering the constraint of not taking more water from the awa, what would a future water source be?
The Assembly ran over 2 months time period, over 4 full Saturdays with some online sessions in between, and a lot of learning online as well as in person and discussing the views of other people in the Assembly.
And very much a cross-section demographically and in all kinds of ways of Aucklanders. And so over that time they really did get to know each other and where they were coming from and managed to find some common ground. Absolutely.
It allowed everyone to have a voice in the end. I think there were some more shy people in the beginning, but we set ground rules around how the deliberation would work, and people were pretty open to that and really accepting of other views, particularly as the time went on and people became more confident in voicing their views with a rationale to get other people to listen to that.
When you first came together in the Fale Pacifica, what were you thinking? What was on your mind as you first gathered?
Got like this huge booklet full of information. There were like little boards like set up all around the room. Everyone was feeling overwhelmed. During the lunchtime we were talking about it. Everyone was kind of like confused on what the exact end goal was and how we were going to get there. But then honestly, I think the facilitators felt that, and then next session and all the other sessions, it was like very clear what we were doing, and it was definitely a lot cleaner. Like the process was a lot smoother.
And I have to say, I was impressed with the range of people that were there, not only in terms of age, but ethnic groups, and it was just quite well, I was quite hopeful for it.
Never walk away from it engaged.
Were there some times when there was a bit of a log jam, sort of a sense of loggerheads?
Definitely. I mean, when you have like 30-something people and they're all trying to express their opinions all at the same time, and then there's like a whole group of experts that are desperately trying to answer their questions, it can definitely be like overwhelming, I guess, but we got through it.
I think the experts that Carissa referred to, that was an important part of it. Wherever there was a technical issue that there wasn't an obvious answer to in the room, then an expert was arranged so that for the next meeting we had a list of questions and answers that could be that were addressed, and hopefully everybody got to the same place quite quickly.
Yeah.
It was really important to us to not influence their decision while empowering them with information to make an informed recommendation to our board.
And in just 2 months of the process of Citizens' Assembly, they got their heads around all the issues and came up with a big answer for you.
Yeah, that was interesting. When they walked in on day one and we put some options on the table, and recycled wastewater was one of them, the immediate reaction was, yuck, no, we're not going to go there. And it was really interesting that after 8 weeks of full Saturdays engaging on the topic and having had access to global case studies, to global experts on the topic, their recommendation was actually considering the 4 criteria we've asked them to judge it against, i.e., is it good to the environment, is it sustainable, what are the financial implications, and most importantly the cultural implications of the decision. They came up with recycled wastewater as the best option.
And direct, not via a reservoir, straight from processing to taps.
Absolutely. So that was their decision, was we should take direct recycled wastewater, which means we're not putting the recycled wastewater into other sources or like dams or reservoirs and further treat it, but actually straight from recycled wastewater into the tap.
I'd have to say on the last day, when we came together with the critical questions, to begin with we were nowhere near a consensus. We were all over the place.
Yeah.
This is the last day.
Yeah, this is the last day, and the last hours of the last day.
Yeah.
And then it just there was some discussion about where we'd got ourselves, and then after that, people just kind of, you had to stand in a certain part of the room to voice your opinion. People just moved to that one place, and everyone moved to the one place, and we had a consensus, and it was it was brilliant. Yeah.
Now, what's Watercare done with this decision? How is it taking it forward?
Our chair actually made a commitment to the Assembly that whatever they recommend, we will have to have a very, very good reason to not implement their recommendation. And of course, we don't have a really, really good reason not to implement a recommendation around recycled wastewater. Because the technology already exists. We don't have to invest heavily in the technology. It's something that's been around for many, many years. And B, because it is the right thing to do for the people, because that's their recommendation. So we are conscious that the challenge is not the technology, but it's actually what I would call social re-engineering. So it's making more people, everyone in Auckland, have that aha moment that the Citizens' Assembly had, from yuck, it's terrible, we won't do it, to actually that is the best option.
We recommend the implementation of direct recycled water as the next source of water for Auckland.
So what is it about the magic of the Citizens' Assembly that enables such a diverse group of people with no scientific knowledge or whatever to come to really well-based decisions collectively?
Well, we don't give citizens enough credit, and they often are not asked to do this, and I think they were quite happy to have been asked when they realized the power of this assembly and the whole process. And it really was, I mean, by design, it was a reflection of Auckland's demographics in all sorts of ways, and they could see that in themselves, just who they were talking to, that they wouldn't normally have these conversations with. And so it kind of, without saying it forced, but they were in the room to discuss these really complex issues with people that they would never normally have those discussions with. And I think it opened a lot of eyes.
Do you think it's a technique we need to develop more, use more, to help us on our very complex long-term issues?
Yeah, oftentimes, like, so many decisions like made by our council, other organizations that are responsible for stuff like water, like, people just feel like the whole process is so detached from, the normal population. It's hard to actually have a say. I think it's all comforting for people to know that normal civilians, are getting like the proper resources and education, and then being able to actually have like a proper say in what happens. So, like,